Hello, all, and welcome to a very special episode of Audio Stew. I'm your host, Kurt Bailey, and today's guest is Kurt Bailey. Um, yeah, I'm gonna try something a little different. Um, it's been a very long year. A lot of ups and downs throughout it all, and I thought it would be good to take some time and just reflect on this year. Um, and I thought, well, what better way of doing that than talking into a microphone for. I have no idea how long this is going to be. Part of me thinks it's going to be about 15 minutes, and a part of me knows Kurt Bailey and how he likes to go on a lot of rants about things like I am doing right now. And so I could even see this going a whole hour, which is kind of crazy to think that I'm capable of talking to myself for an hour, but I guess time will prove what happens here. But anyway, so I thought doing this would be just a great way for myself. Pardon me. I had some sparkling grape juice, and the carbonation is showing itself, I suppose. Let me take a sip of this water. Oh, did you hear that? Or did you not hear that? That's right, I didn't use a water bottle this time. Just a plain old Kool-Aid cup. Got like a million of those in this house. Where was I going with this? Yeah, so great way of reflecting, but also honestly just letting you guys get to know me a little bit. If you're a regular listener of this show, you probably know me pretty well already. But I figure even if you do know me well, I don't always talk about myself a lot. I suppose I should caveat that a little bit, because I like to talk. I really do like to talk, and I do like to tell my own stories and share my own thoughts, like in conversation with people. I think I actually have a little bit of a problem of talking too much and not listening enough. But I don't open up a lot. Not to very many people, and not to a super strong degree. Like, I very rarely will share things that I would consider uncomfortable to talk about, or like for my own sake they're uncomfortable, not necessarily the topic, but I know how weak I am as a human being, and it's hard to admit that you're weak. And I also know that I spend a lot of time. Sorry, my throat it's a little in the morning, so it's still a little rough. I spend a lot of time focusing on others, like not saying that as like a humble brag or whatever, but like I've made it my life goal to focus on the needs of others. And a lot of people deal with a lot of crap, and most of the time when I when I see them in their need, I'm just like, yeah, I have my own problems too, and maybe to some extent sharing them will help them in their scenario. But most of the time, I'm like, yeah, I don't. But like, I'm not important. Like, I need to help with them or help them with their issues that they're dealing with. And I said I'm not important, but I know that's not true. I know each person is valuable in the eyes of God, but it's just one of those things that yeah, I don't know. I struggle with to some extent. So yeah, this is definitely going to go to the hour, I think. Spending 5 minutes on an intro. So I'm gonna try and open up a little bit. I'm gonna not share everything, because some things are simply like on a need to know basis, and the broad general public does not need to know. But I do want to be honest with people, and I want to be raw and let them know that, hey, I am a person like all of you, and life is hard, and also very beautiful, very, very beautiful. And so I hope that this, whatever this winds up being, will show you that that both of those things are true, and that's just the result of the broken world that we live in. But the hope of Christ restoring us. Yeah. So anyway, like I said, not everything everyone needs to know, and so some things I will just generalize. Some things I'll leave names out of, and obviously I can go back and edit things as I need to, which is basically means I can say whatever and know I'll be fine. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go chronologically through the year and just kind of give you a broad overview of everything that happened, mostly with me this year, some of it with the world around me and how it affected me. And then after I do that, I'm going to come back and hit a few of the broader topics, or probably not broader topics. What am I saying? Come back and hit a few other topics that have just kind of been with me this year and I've been thinking about a lot, more events and stuff like that. Yeah, but hopefully, this is maybe a little selfish, but it's my time to shine as the host and the guest. So during these episodes, normally I try and, even though I definitely failed this, my goal as the host is to, help the other person I'm talking with, ask them good questions, keep them talking, get them to open up and share about their life. And I guess I'm going to try and do that with myself now for once. So all that said, let's get rolling. Yep, it's a long intro, but you're going to have to bear with me a little bit because I've never done this before. So January, good grief, that seems so long ago. January 2020, what was going on? Man, that is so weird. I was like, January seems like years ago, but like Christmas, like last year, was like a day ago, and I was just like, what? Like, I don't understand how time works sometimes. Like, I'm recording this on Christmas morning, by the way. we had Christmas stuff that we do on Christmas Eve, so I had a little bit of time. Yeah, January is so long ago. What was going on in Kurt's life in January? That would be not a lot. Nothing really too exciting happened in January. Oh, I suppose that did happen. I started my YouTube channel. I guess that's kind of a tell of how exciting that launch was. Yeah, so January was the start of Renewed Horizon. I put out a video on the 1st, explaining sort of the point of why I was launching it and stuff, and didn't totally know what it was gonna be. I knew I wanted it to be a place of community, of good storytelling, a place that was like away from a lot of the just junk on the internet and had some like wholesome stuff to it. And that's taken quite a journey since then, but that was the start. I also remember promising to have my first video out, which was the critical hit video over Spider-Man. It's like 40 minutes long. It's a great first video to start out with, giving people a documentary. That's essentially what it was. It was more like a 40 minute video essay over why Spider-Man was such a great game and how it had an impact on me. But I remember promising that it'll go out on like the 4th, and then it came out like at the end of the month. And I was like, all right, lesson number 1, don't promise things that you can't keep, kind of, or at the very least, don't promise to have a video out when you have no idea how long post-production takes, because you haven't ever made a video before. So there was that. I don't know if I totally learned that lesson, because I definitely promised other things throughout the year, and I don't think they always went out on like the day I promised and stuff. But that was the start of Renewed Horizon. There was school would have been starting up my 2nd semester. I would have had work for intramural reffing, which was probably when I was trying to ref intramural basketball, which was an absolute nightmare. I am terrible at basketball, and I know even less about the rules of it. I remember there was a time where like somebody like ran into someone, like basically tackled them, knocked them over, and I called a foul on it, and I was like, foul, you can't do that. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. That was miserable. School started. 2nd semester had some fun classes. I had a couple English classes. I really liked my class with it was like intro to reading and writing about literature. I think that's what it was. It's like a 200 level class. I really liked my professor. That's Marguerite Tossi. Yeah, that was a good class. Oh yes, Healthy, Wealthy, Wise with Damon Day, PE 150. The class where I learned about life, because I grew up under a rock and I was like trying to roll with everything I was being taught about, STDs and all this stuff. And I was like, oh yeah. And then internally being like, what the heck is going on? Yep, that was exciting. What else? I suppose I was switched to online too, but I'll talk about that later. uh, when COVID hits. This is still life of. Uh, I was about to say normalcy, but I hate that word because people use it all the time. Life of being normal. Maybe I should just use normalcy. I don't know. What else happened? February. Oh no, we can't go to February yet. I had some other stuff happen in January. What else? February. I keep saying February. January. Had a few hard relationship things going on. I had a few personal struggles too. I think I'll save both of those topics for later though, because they're better to talk about in a bigger perspective, rather than like chronological. So I guess that was all for January I could think of. So February, had a fun video go out. I had been doing some monthly challenges where like every month I do some sort of different personal thing. Been doing that for a while. In February, I made it the goal of working out like 5 days a week. I don't remember what the exact goal was, but I got my buddy Ben Andrews to do it with me, which was fun because Ben and I had like interacted some, but that was the first time we really did a lot together. So 3 days a week we would run, and then twice a week we would rock climb. So we'd like alternate. And the goal was by the end of the month to be able to run 3 miles under 20 minutes, which is what you had to do in high school cross country to like letter at my school. So I wanted to see if I could do that again, because I hadn't ran in quite a while. Which, spoilers if you haven't seen that video, I think it's called Don't Be a Sack of Potatoes. I did not make it. I was about 30 seconds short, I think. Something like that. But Ben did. And that was really cool because he hadn't ran in like ever. And we just went after it and went hard, and that's what we wound up with. So that was really fun. I don't remember a lot of other things happening in February. I know that's when like I really got into rock climbing, which is really fun because John Dockweiler, he got into rock climbing a lot too. Like I think right around this, he might have started more like in January and stuff, really getting into it. But it was fun because like it was a new thing that we could do together because John and I have known each other for so long. We basically feels like we've done everything already, but that was a totally new experience that we could share together. So that was so much fun. And even though I'm still pretty, I'm probably in between like beginner and intermediate. John is definitely in the lower advanced side of it, I would say. At least, like climbing routes and stuff at the wall. But it's fun. I really like it. I don't remember a lot of else happening in February. There might have been some other things, but March. Good old March, when the world explodes in America. I suppose by February, a lot of COVID stuff had been becoming more of a concern, like in China and stuff, and across the world. But it wasn't until March when it finally hit America and like was a big enough of an issue that school shut down, got moved online. it was just everything went crazy. I also had a birthday. Turned 20, 2 decades. It's kind of wild. It's also my first birthday not at home, which was really weird. Yeah. And not even like, oh, like, did you get presents? Did like, not all that like birthday party type stuff. It was just like not seeing my family was weird. My mom and dad and brother, younger brother, were off doing like a traveling thing. They went on this traveling adventure to like Oregon and Texas and some other places. So I think they were in Texas at that time. And I remember they like gave me a bunch of money to like go buy a skateboard. I never did buy it because around that time was when stuff just started like going out of stock and no new manufacturing and things like that, and I wanted this like cool custom board because I thought it would be cool and didn't even think about the fact that you can't even see the bottom of the board while you're riding anyway. So it's kind of like, I could have just got a straight up skateboard, probably been fine. I should probably rectify that at some point. Getting myself a 20th birthday present. That'd be kind of nice. I don't know. Yeah. COVID hit. Man. Dude, nobody knew at the time, like, what it was going to be like, but I was, like, I had friends who were, like, going back home, all this stuff, and I really, I was ready for it, honestly, like, just, I was ready for this to be, like, the new plague, because I remember in high school hearing all these stories about, how a lot of like theology got screwed up in that era because like all the good pastors, the good shepherds went out and were in the midst of the city and caring for those in need, and a lot of them died because of it. And then like all the rotten subpar pastors just stayed and protected themselves, and that's what screwed up a lot of people, I think, in that time. So I was ready. I'm like, this is go time. Like, we got international students who are stuck here. We've got all sorts of people in need. Like, I don't know. I might die from this. Like, but like, let's get after it. Let's not let that fear overcome the call to serve. And so I was ready. And then, yeah. And then April came. And it just, yeah, I don't know, it was weird. Like, as much as I wanted to be there and helping people, I also really wanted to be with my family. And like, money was gonna get tighter and stuff, and like there's nobody else was there, and it was just hard to be there like alone, like hardly anyone else, except for like the people who like lived in Kearney, like my friends. And I knew it was just gonna be tough to stay there when I couldn't actually like be with people and stuff. So after all that of getting hyped up and stuff, I just decided to move home. Which, I don't think is neither here nor there, but yep, that's what I decided to do, and had to like quarantine for a couple weeks because that's what my parents wanted me to do if I was gonna move home. Which was pretty interesting. They stuck me in my I took over my sister's bedroom because it had an egress window, and so that was like my door to the outside. So if I ever wanted to go on like a walk or something, I just came in through the window, which I admit was very, very difficult to move in all my stuff from college through this like hobbit door, but only broke a few backbones in doing that. It was also, the room was right next to it had its own bathroom, so it was just the most convenient place for me to be. I had a thought earlier, and that's why I started slowing down, because I can't remember what I was going to say. It was about 5 minutes ago. I thought of something, and I never said it. It's going to bug me, which means I should probably just move on, because maybe it'll come to me later, but there you go. You're getting the raw Kurt who doesn't remember anything as a memory of a goldfish. Although apparently I hear that they have better memories than we think, but, maybe I'm worse than a goldfish. Wow, that's depressing. Yeah, that was April was definitely the wild month of Walmart running out of toilet paper, all this crazy stuff, and people losing their minds and things like that. I know what I was going to say. See, I told you this. At least I think this was what it was. I also started my podcast. The first episode of that came out in... when did that come out? I think that came out in January. Hold up, let me go look this up. Also, I should have had this pulled up this whole time. That episode that I did with Ben, I don't think it did come out in February. Oh, hey, I have a new subscriber. Woo. When did it come out, though? That came out in April. That's right. So I did it with Ben in February, but the actual video didn't come out until April. Because I had another video about challenges I'd done in 2019 that came out in March. First episode of Audio Stew came out on February 19th. So when I talked with my sister about Star Wars for 4 hours. Oh my goodness. I still can't believe that. We split up into 2 episodes, but man, that was something else, let me tell you. So there was that. But April is when I actually told people publicly that I started a YouTube channel. Like put on social media and stuff, I mean. So I had several videos that month. That was definitely the most I put out in a month. I had it good every other week of like video, podcast, video, podcast, video, podcast. Like I think I made it the whole month, which was pretty exciting. But after that, I ran out of a lot of ideas, and so it was just like podcasts for like a month straight after that. That was my biggest video came out that month. So the 30 awesome things you can do while quarantined, which is my first like sketch type video, I guess. I don't know. It was pretty fun. I just kind of dorked around, had Andrew help me with it and stuff, but really it kind of sets the tone of my channel. I'm a very goofy person. Let me turn this down just a smidge. I'm listening to some beats while this is going, so that way, because I can't have my fan on, because you'll hear that if I do, but I got headphones on. Anyway, so that was pretty exciting. I really did enjoy that video. But yeah, it's just a perfect mix of my goofy side and my serious side, which is kind of who I am. I like to make people laugh and then hit them with a deep thought. It's usually how I roll. So there was all that. May was kind of just, it was pretty boring. I was just finishing up school stuff. Had some more podcasts and stuff, some good podcasts, but like it wasn't a lot going on. I hadn't started work yet. I think May was pretty rough on my personal health. I think I didn't do a lot. I know I played a ton of video games. Had some struggles come back into my life, or like they're just more pronounced during that time. Yeah, that was May. Oop, bumped the table. I have a list of stuff. I want to make sure there's any of this like didn't go over. Oh, I completely forgot about this. No, I didn't completely forget it. Like I wrote it down. I just forgot to talk about it earlier. I did have another very scary thing happen in January. My nephew was born shortly around that time, and no, I guess he was born earlier than that, but like he's still very, very young. And he had a lot of respiratory stuff happen. Sorry, even with water, still my throat's a little. Ugh. Yeah, that was no fun. I'll maybe have Janelle and Elliot on at some point and talk a little bit more about their journey with Lincoln. That's my nephew's name. But yeah, just that month was that. There's a few weeks where he was in the NICU. If I remember all this right, hopefully I do. But yeah, just knowing how hard it was on Janelle and Elliot, and still having a couple other boys to raise and stuff, and yeah, that wasn't fun, but God is good, and he got through it, which was a blessing, and so he's thriving. He slobbered all over my face yesterday at Christmas. That was pretty exciting. Anyway, so that was one thing I missed that I had to go back and grab real quick. June, I started work at the daycare again. I don't think I worked in May at all. Maybe I did. I worked at the daycare in my hometown a couple summers ago. And just, man, those kids. Man, those kids. They're so amazing and adorable, and I love them, but also kids are kids. And I think a couple years ago I didn't do a lot. Like, I was just kind of the support in that for like a few hours. But this past summer I was there like 10 to 6, I think, was my shift. Um, so it was a lot more different being like a partner versus like a sidekick kind of. I work with Kaylee Everly in the school age room, and she's awesome. She's such a great person and great at working with kids and stuff. So it was super fun. It's a great experience for me. But this year was a little tougher, just because I had more responsibility, or at the very least, like, felt more responsibility, kind of. Um, yeah, man, those kids are crazy. Definitely a lot more meltdowns I saw this year. Um, and so they didn't have to wear like masks and stuff. Like, I work at a daycare in Kearney now, and like they still have a lot of kids like trying to wear masks and stuff, but they didn't make them do that during the summer. Um, just because it's a small town and it wasn't really an issue, like it hadn't been in the town at all. Um, what else, man? There was some fun stuff. We What all did we do? Trying to think of good ones. We had a talent show thing that was really funny. Uh, because I had a problem where they would move the younger kids up into my group, and like the younger school, like pre-K type stuff. And every time they would come in, the transition was a nightmare. And I'm like, oh, I can't deal with these younger kids. They don't listen to me. I have a hard enough time with getting the older kids to listen to me. And finally started figuring some stuff out. Uh, like, giving them structure when they came in was good. And so we had a talent show one day that led to some very fun antics. There were many musical performances. Those were good. There was the infamous Derek wearing a dress and singing "Let It Go," um, which was the funniest thing ever. And he had some very unique dance moves, and it was made only better by his mom coming in as he was performing to pick him up, which was hilarious. And then the next day we went back on watched a bunch of it with the Amy and Michelle, like my bosses, and we went back and watched a bunch of it, and it's just, they were laughing so hard at like this security footage of Derek dancing. It's such a good memory. Ah, man, I miss those kids. They're so good. Michael's so great. He makes me laugh. Um, yeah, that kid. We read a book about no talk. If you've ever read No Talking by Andrew Clements, he's a very good author for that, like, younger, like mid school range, maybe like third grade ish. That's kind of like what age he writes for, I think. And there's a book called No Talking where the boys and the girls in the classroom are not getting along, and they have this big fight over like girls are always talking so much and stuff. So they have a contest to see who can stay quietest the longest, like a 3-day challenge, and whoever talks the least wins. And so it's a very good book. I love it. But every time we read that book, the kids, it was great because you went from reading to lunchtime, and we have quiet lunches for like 5 minutes where you're just not supposed to talk, and then you just eat your food for a few minutes. And the kids, they would always try and see how much longer they could go after that. So we would try it, and a lot of kids would, be like, as soon as the timer's done, they'd like yell out some goofy word and then just be total dorks like that. But then some of them would keep going. They had like half an hour, like an hour. They'd like get out whiteboards and write on them and stuff. Like, it was so good. And then a couple days or like weeks later, I had one kid, Michael, who took it upon himself to stay quiet the entire day. The kid did not say a single word, even though some people tried to get him to talk. We're talking like at least 8 hours of silence from this guy. And I'm just like, what on earth, man? This is crazy. This is the same Michael that later decided to start his own YouTube channel because Mr. Kurt had a cool YouTube channel, and Michael's a very creative person. He wanted his own YouTube channel also. And my favorite moment from this past couple months was when I got a shout out on Michael's channel for my own channel. It kind of made me cry and laugh. It was the best thing ever. Yeah, they were crazy. They thought that me having a YouTube channel was like the coolest thing ever. So that was June, I guess. We'll have July and August thrown in there too. And daycare was not easy either. It's not fun telling parents that, hey, your kid was swearing at all these other kids and having kids melt down and like just like bawling over something, and usually something not important, but a lot of times knowing that there's other things going on too, and just wondering how's this kid in that state where he can have a meltdown over like kickball or something like that and refuse to go inside. And yeah, it's hard. I'm not the greatest at comforting either. Part of it is because I'm a guy. Like, I try and be there for kids and stuff, but like it's very obvious to me that women are more adept at caring for children. I believe men definitely have a place in that, and they need strong men to be that, like, strong men to like show them like, this is how you do things, this is how you treat people. But when it comes to some other sides of, parenting or childcare, like there's just things that I'm just lost on. I'm like, oh, like I try, but then it's just like, yeah, you got this, whoever. Like, I tried, but yeah. That was a little bit of a rant. Kind of covered, like I said, multiple months there. I was also dealing with a lot of stuff, and I'll talk more about that. But August is a big turnaround in Kurt's life. Big one. August is what brought RFK, so Royal Family Kids Camp. They weren't even sure if they were going to have it this year because of COVID and everything, but we did have it. If you don't know anything about RFK, you need to know about RFK. Hopefully I might try and get Connor on here later to come talk about it later in the year, or 2021, I mean. But RFK is a camp for kids who are involved in the foster care system. And it's a week where they can get away from all that and just be a kid and have fun, learn some valuable lessons, and give them hope when they go back into the realities of the world. And man, that was such a good experience. I think I said it at some point in time, but that is probably the best week I've ever had in my life. You read verses about, is that, I'm going to butcher it. I think it's Philippians, about Christ becoming a man and humbling himself to be a servant, and to care so much about humanity that he would die for them. It's either Philippians or Hebrews. I think Philippians, but so you read that and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm a servant. Like, let's live for other people. But then to actually show it is different. To have a whole week of, I am dedicated to these 2 kids or these 4 kids. You like share a room with like your buddy camper and stuff. And to have all that and to be like, this week is about the kids. It is not about me. And to pour your life out to just love on them, to, hey, do you want to do this? Okay, let's do that. And to let them smash cake in your face, let them go, It's not like letting them do everything that they want, because sometimes they want things that aren't good for them. But it is dropping a lot of barriers that we have in society of like, no, kids can't do that. Like, that's disorderly or whatever. Like, when you have enough people, when you have enough support where you can watch out for kids and stuff and make sure that, your attention is focused on them and nothing else, then you can have a lot of wild, crazy fun. Like, you can have a bunch of kids at the pool, you can go on a speedboat ride, you can run through a bouncy house, you can do all these things. I know a lot of people just don't do it because you can't afford doing that or whatever, but man, just to be a kid is so cool. I am 100%, I'm like 5 at heart still. And I realized a couple weeks ago I'm no longer 5 in my body. I'm 20 in my body, because when you run through a bouncy house about 12 times in a row and you start to feel the cardio, and one time you slip out coming out and then you sprain your wrist. But that's a little bit later. That week was so good, though. So good. That's when I really got to know Connor Gosnell a little better. He's such a great guy. Very kind, very loving, very intelligent. It was so much fun. Man, I wanna go back there and stuff. It's a scary moment. I lost my kid one of my kids I was watching out for, I was trying to help somebody else with one of their kids, and they weren't cooperating. And then I look around and I realize my kid is gone, and I understand that fear now of a parent, losing their kid, like in the grocery store or whatever. Like, I know as a kid, I loved hiding in the clothes racks and trying to scare my parents and stuff, but like to actually be on the other side, I was like, oh, what was I doing? Like, it's like the most terrifying thing I've felt in my life. And it was scary. Fortunately, Ben Andrews, the myth, the legend. There we go. That's what I was trying to say. He had found one of my kids he basically just wandered off with the bigger pack and thought I was with them. And it was hard because I wasn't like upset with him really. Like, I was just mostly scared and glad he was back, but like there was tension between us for a while. I could tell he was upset and I was upset, and we just kind of kept going for a while. But it worked out in the end. Connor and I talked about for a while, and I'm not a huge like physical affection. It's not huge on my love languages and stuff, just because I don't know. Freaks me out a little bit, but also I remember it every time. Like it just sticks with me. And I remember Connor giving me a hug after, we talked about for a little bit, and I was trying to, keep it in, but I was crying a little bit and stuff. And man, that kind of stuff it just sticks with you. You don't forget about it. But yeah, it was so good. I was running on like 6 hours of sleep, maybe, that whole week. I'd stay up with some of the other guys, and you just needed that time of camaraderie with other big campers and talking with them. I knew a bunch of them from CSF and all this stuff, and it was just so nice to laugh and to share stories. And yeah, it was so good. Anyway, so I came back from RFK. I had another week of work left, and it was a different sort of week because I saw everything that we did at the daycare, and I was just like, man, what if we did things different in this way or whatever. And to go back to, instead of being 1-on-1 or 1-on-2, I'm back to 1-on-12 and 1-on-15, like as far as kids I have to watch. And it was just weird because I'm like, oh, man, these kids, like, a lot of them know life is like hard, but some of them are just like being a brat right now. And like, do you understand like how nice your life is and stuff? And just, yeah, it was a little different. August also meant starting school again, the first semester of COVID school, I guess. Did I even mention July? July was pretty much just work and video games, like, not gonna lie. That's basically all I did. which probably was not healthy. But yeah, I was not the greatest. Back to school. Rooming with John again. Classes I knew would be different. I had to wear a mask in all my classes. Wound up being a okay semester. Like, all things considered, I think it was pretty good. I had an online class that was just miserable. It was like work at your own pace, and I would do everything like the day before it was due, and it was just blech. I had another online class that was good. It was sad because it was with Tossie, who I had the previous semester, but it was just like a Zoom class, and it was sad because it was like, this isn't the same at all. Like, it's nice to see people again and to like have those lectures and stuff, but it felt so different. But yeah, there was that, and then my best class, like my favorite class I've had so far, was my philosophy class with Thomas Martin, which was the shout out to the last episode of Audio Stew, because I had him on the show. So if you want to hear more about him, he's a pretty cool guy. Go listen to that. Yeah, so that was such a good class of reading. We read Republic. We read a bunch of Flannery O'Connor. Just being with someone, he's a Catholic, but like someone who understood that life is more than just like what you do for an occupation. Like, it's about who you are, and it was very needed in that time of just trying to sort of figure out who I am and things like that. Yeah. What else happened around that time? Just getting back to CSF house, getting back to see people again was so much fun. Early in the semester, like, so last, or not semester, but like last, let me try this again. Last year, my squad was kind of like Matt and Andrew. I had them on the show talking about video games, but we would hang out late at night and do stuff. This semester, I didn't stay up near as late, but I would hang out with Paige and Cream quite a bit, which was super fun. It was great to have Cream in the house because, like, I knew her from high school and stuff, but like, we didn't really interact. And then now it's like, oh yeah, Cream's like awesome friend. Like, she's super cool. So it's crazy how life works in that way. Ooh, you're getting very close to the hour. Good grief. I'm sorry. If you're still here, congratulations. Somehow you've managed to listen to Kurt monologue for an hour. Woo. I think I still got probably at least half an hour left in me too. That's wild. Anyway, so hopefully you have this on a faster speed though, because it's definitely a little slower pace. House is good this year. It's really fun. Trying to think of where to go. And some more relationship stuff. We'll talk about that later. Really not a lot, like, there weren't as many exciting like events this past semester. It's been a lot of grinding. Got back to more work on YouTube and podcast and stuff. Tried to make a song that was kind of fun. But yeah, a lot of the months just kind of blur together of just school, weird COVID stuff, and just trying to work on relationships. That's kind of what the past several months has been, but with a very different outlook on life, largely due to RFK. Yeah, was there anything like interesting? Like I said, memory is pretty bad, but I'm trying to think of like specific events. Like I could share some fun stories of stuff, but maybe I'll do that. Couple fun house adventures. What did we do? We did the Hertz donut run. That was really fun. That was Kurt trying his best to learn how to be a spontaneous person. So we drove to Lincoln and drove back, but we got some Hertz donuts along the way. Went and saw the wonderful Ben Jansen, who I dearly miss, and he's still an awesome guy. Yeah, that was fun. Just, hey, let's get donuts. Okay. Drive to Lincoln and back. It's kind of, it's not how I normally roll, but that's just how it happened. What's another good one? I don't feel like we did as much this semester. Like, it was kind of a weird semester where we did a lot of stuff together, but it wasn't like a lot of really fun things. It was mostly just like doing life together. Friendsgiving was pretty fun. It was some really good food. Like, we killed it. It was great. It's also when John told people that he was moving out. So it was a little bit of a bittersweet, but yeah. Friendsgiving was really good. Bunch of Jackbox nights, those were good. Some Among Us nights, that was a new thing this year, which was hilarious because we had Andrew and Matt who would like, one of them would be the imposter, and then they just run around, dorking around, and jumping in vents in front of each other and stuff, and then I would try and like spy on them and get killed or who knows what. It was just, there are some very hilarious moments. Doing photography stuff with John. That was super fun. So John started his photography business. Hopefully I can talk to him on the show at some point about it, but I gotta be his muse, his model, or whatever you want to call it, for a few of his shoots. That was really fun. I just am so impressed by anyone who can exercise their creative talents in some really unique ways, and John is so good at it. And so it was so much fun. There's the secret bromance shoot that I don't know if he'll ever show the world, but it was a very, very fun time that we just took pictures together for like an hour, 2 hours. It was so good. Yeah. Just a lot of good times. I started work. That happened this semester too. I'm kind of blurring these last several months together. Work has been weird. I only work a few hours a day I work like the afternoon shift at the daycare in Kearney. There's a bunch of Sunshine World. And it was hard because I don't know the kids as well. It's taken time, and they're still not, a lot of them aren't great at listening to me, but then some of them are still adorable or they listen to everything I say, and it's been a lot tougher transition. I kind of forgot about how like how things can be hard getting to know people and stuff, but I think I'm gonna do it. Probably work a little bit less because I have other things I want to focus on, but I'll keep doing it next semester too. What else happened? We had no fast food November. That was kind of fun. Getting back to some of those challenges and stuff that I've done, which is very needed because living in Kearney, there's a lot more options for fast food than there's in Central City. So I've been getting it fairly often. So it helped me save some money. Oh, I bought a new phone. That's where a lot of it's where a lot of my money went. But it's really nice because now I have like a little bit better video quality whenever I want to film stuff, but it's still just like, oh, somewhere in there I got Instagram. Forgot about that. That was back in like the start of the summer, I think. Maybe. I don't totally remember. That was fun. I kind of like Instagram. It's kind of a fun platform in my opinion, but I also tried to dye my hair. I forgot about that. That was a bad. That was one of those, lesson learned experiences. I tried to add some red highlights to my hair because I thought it'd be cool. It looked like my hair was on fire. Instead, it just kind of was this weird red. It wasn't bright red, but it was like it definitely had, I don't know, it was just a weird color and it didn't work well. And I was like, well, this is what happens when you try and dye your own hair. Because I wanted Christina to help me and she was busy reading a book, which meant she really did not want to help me. And she's like, just figure it out. It's like, okay. So I tried to figure it out for like an hour and it didn't go so well. Anyway. So there was that. No fast food was good. I have a lot of respect for John because he's very disciplined man, and so that was good to try and work on discipline in some different areas. And now we're in December, and December brings a lot of change in my life. Yeah. I'm trying to think of how I go forward from here. So that's kind of the chronological a year in perspective for Kurt. Year in perspective for the world. It was kind of crazy. Is that a good word? I don't know. There was during the summer, all the like Black Lives Matter stuff. It was an election year. There's just so much hatred in America. It's not fun to deal with. And I hope as a nation we've learned to value life. But I don't know if we became more selfless or more selfish this year. I think it just kind of revealed like who we are in a lot of ways as people. I'm looking at my list again, decide what all I want to talk about. I'll talk about YouTube and podcasting a little bit more. And then I'll finish off with some of my more personal struggles this year. So YouTube was good. I also started putting some videos on just my personal account, which I think has been good because I'm sort of figuring out the difference of, okay, these ones are goofy or personal. These ones are like story related. And then I started streaming on Twitch, which has been fun. It's been kind of my way of still playing video games and stuff without feeling like I was just wasting a lot of time. It's fun to interact with a few close friends, and I don't know, hopefully they'll keep growing a little bit. But I've got a habit of doing that every Monday night, and it's fun. My favorite video, let me go with that. Favorite video I put out this year. I'm gonna say my courage video. It was a short I tried to make that just wound up being a concept. Like a couple of shots are not like final shots. It was just like stand-in footage, but I really did like it. The idea of trying to communicate some sort of human emotion or some sort of lesson in like a very unique way. It's a silent video. There's no dialogue. But yeah, it was fun to try and make a short. That's the only short I've ever made. And I definitely need a lot of work. I have a long way to go. Just on everything, script wise, lighting. I thought my transitions and stuff were pretty good. Like it was a good try. Like I tried a lot of unique stuff, but need a lot of help still. But that was good. I hope to do more like that. But honestly, like I did like video essays. Those have been fun. Like they take a long time to make, and I don't really like all the time I have to put into it, but I do like the final product because I've always loved, like, I hate writing essays that are pointless, but I love writing my thoughts on different things. So if I can write an essay with a point, like I love doing that. And then a couple goofy videos. I'm gonna make more of those. That Taco Bell video I made was pretty funny, not gonna lie. I kind of like it. Yeah. Podcast though, man, that's been such a journey. Over 24 hours worth of content, if I remember right. I think I can calculate this real quick. What is it? Is that what it was? Maybe it was. I'm gonna pause this real quick and come back. Quick break. Alrighty, and we're back. I had to use the restroom and refill my water, which was not at all what I was anticipating when I started this, but here we are. Anyway, podcast. So, calculated it up. It's about 30 hours worth of conversation this year, which is really wild because, like, at the start of the year, I was just like, man, do I really want to do this? I don't know. Like, it's kind of fun. I'll give it a shot. And I was doing a bunch of editing to episodes, and it took forever. But then I started figuring out a little bit of audio settings. Still not great at it, but so a little less editing, getting a little less nitpicky about ums and uhs and all that jazz. And now here we are. This is episode 19. This is going to be labeled as a special, and there's one other special. 19 episodes in a year. That's kind of cool. I've had 24 different people on my show. which is insane. Like, I've had a meaningful conversation with 24 different people this year. Like, I don't know. That just seems crazy to me. And obviously, I mean, I have good conversations with people all the time, but like, I went out and made an effort to be like, hey, let's talk, and let's talk about something you're passionate about, or let's talk about your life story, or let's talk about how this has had an impact onto you. And man, it's just been so cool. So cool. So cool. And that's why I just, it's not a lot of people listen to this show because it's just small, but I do know there are some people who listen to it regularly, and that really just warms my heart. And it's just like, wow, you guys get to be a part of this conversation too. And that's, yeah. Perspective is one of my favorite things in life. Like, I don't have a clue how long I'm going to be here on this earth, but I know that there are so many things in life that I will never learn just because the world is so big. And yet God is bigger than the world. Like, that just blows my mind. But at the same time, that's what makes life so cool, is just to keep learning from others about, this is how I see life. This is what I do for a living. Like, all those things are just, man, it's just so cool. It's also really weird. There was one guest I had on the show who's actually passed away since then, and it was a younger guy, Sejun, who was on. He's one of my episode 6, looks like, yeah. Which, it was so sad because he's such a like polite guy and stuff, and I never was given the details of how he died. And I, you know, if you die in your early 20s, who knows what it could be. But in any case, it's tragic. Like, and yeah, that's just weird for me to think about, because I remember thinking like, oh, I need to get like my grandparents on here like as soon as possible, because my grandparents are cool people, and like, but they might not be around here for much longer, and to have a recording of them, of a good conversation I had with them, like, that would be so cool. And then it happened with somebody in their 20s, and I was just like, wow, like, there's just this massive, I don't even know how to describe it. It's not like a burden. It's just, there's something very weighty where it went from, this is a show that I do for personal growth, I do to build my relationships. Like, it went from that to like, and this is also like documenting life. And yeah, I don't know. I still don't totally know how to feel about that, but I know it's cool, but also very sad and serious, and so it just kind of blows my mind a little bit. Favorite episodes? Well, favorite guest is probably Christina, my sister, because I've had her on like 4 times. She's the best. Favorite episodes would probably be the first like good one, like, oh yeah, like this is going somewhere, was when I did it with Keiichiro, talking about his life dreams and Christianity and love, and it was just really cool. I'm hoping to have him on next year too. I think it might be fun to do like a year later kind of thing. Maybe it will work out, maybe it won't, I don't know. But everything after that was like, that was when I hit my groove of like, man, this is going places. And some episodes are still rough, but that's when I knew, like, because earlier had been Christina and then Matt and Andrew, and those were just some close friends and stuff of like, yeah, this is kind of fun, but like, I don't know if it's really going anywhere. But now I'm like, yeah, we could really do something with that. The next one was really good with Jill and Shota, talking about culture. My brother was good. Like, there's so many good ones. The one I did with John about self-discipline was really helpful for me. Just to hear his outlook on life and stuff. I'm going to say my favorite episode, though, was with Ryan. So Ryan is a guy from my church. He's in his 50s, I think. And he's been truck driving for a long time. But we talked for 2.5 hours about what his life is like as a truck driver and and just his pursuit of God in it all and trying to be a light in a dark place. And it was just so cool because I knew so little about what his life was like. And yeah, he's such a cool guy. He's such a kind guy. He also is a very brutal man because he convinced me to eat the world's hottest chip with him after our podcast. And I felt obligated because he just spent 2.5 hours talking with me. So I'm like, yeah, I'll do it with you. I'll make a video of it. So if you want to see a video of me dying while he laughs maniacally, is that how you say that word? Yeah. Laughs like a maniac. That's on my personal account on YouTube. It's very, very entertaining. But that was so good. So good. Yeah. That has been podcasting, and I just thank you guys so much. I'm going to do it. I would say the plan is, because I don't, plans do change and life changes and stuff, but the plan is every other week next year there's going to be a new episode to go out Wednesday afternoon, which I'm so excited for. I have probably about 2/3 of them planned. Like, I would like to have this person on my show to talk about this, but I'm so stoked. Like I don't know if I can really express it, but like internally I'm just like, yeah, woo, like, let's do this. Another thing I thought about while podcasting, I'm looking at my list again, is laughter. There was a point when I had my older brother on and we started laughing at like something, and our laughs are like so identical. Like there's a small portion we're both laughing at the same time, and I can't tell who's laughing. Like, it just sounds the same. But aside from other audio issues, but there's a lot of times where I had a spike in audio and I had to go back and like turn it down a little bit because it just blew out the mic. But not every time, but a lot of the time it's from me laughing. And that there's something about that just feels so nice. Like, it's almost confirmation of like, wow, this was a good conversation, that it was deep, there was laughter, there was just, yeah. You guys are so cool. I want to keep doing this. This is so much fun. Although if anyone else, man, if you're still here, woo, good on you. You've already made it. What, an hour and 20 minutes? What am I doing? I didn't know I could talk by myself that long. Good grief. Anyway, that's podcasting. Let me erase a few things, that way I know. things I've already talked about. Get rid of those. Get rid of those. Oh, one thing to mention with RFK is I'm doing mentoring club now. So there's like camp, but then there's like throughout the year there's like a club that meets once a month, and if you're a mentor you also meet outside of club with like your kid and do some fun stuff together. So that's been really good. I'm doing that with Aiden Bentley. We have like brothers that we're mentoring, so we get to do a lot of stuff together. So it's been great to get to know him better and just all sorts of fun stuff there. Talked about those. Okay. So, what else has been going on this year? How did COVID affect me? I don't think, as far as I'm aware, I've never had it. I did get sick a couple times during COVID, but I don't think it was COVID either time. This year has been harder because people have been passing away. Like, I felt like I knew a lot of people who died this year. We had our I think it's our athletic director. Is that what it'd be? The athletic director from my school passed away due to COVID and some other complications. Probably like he wasn't necessarily the healthiest individual. But that was so weird because I remember in high school, just kind of like, he's a nice guy, but still like you'd laugh about him or something like, oh, it's Mr. Schreiber again doing his thing, but then it's like, now he's gone. He's a Christian, like he's with the Lord and stuff, but it's just weird. Found out yesterday one of my neighbors passed away. That was kind of weird. I didn't know him super well, but yeah, it's been a hard year for a lot of people, and I don't think this is maybe an unpopular opinion from me, but I don't. This year is definitely harder than past, but I don't think it's like. Yeah. But I think life is just hard. Like, I think this year is just everything became real to me. And that's what really made it hard. Just because I realized, like, this is just what happens. Like, people pass away every year. Like, my aunt died the year before. And that was hard. That was the first time I was like, I knew, like, someone personally. Like that was fairly close with. I had a underclassman whose dad passed away like right near the end of his senior year. That was the same year too. Like, death is just a part of life right now, and that's just hard to deal with. But like, that's the result of the brokenness in our world. It's not, and one day it'll be restored to a place of life, eternal life, but like just, yeah, it's hard. And there were other things too, there's, I wasn't expecting to have a global sickness. That was kind of new, and that is undeniably a hard thing. I wasn't expecting to have all this rioting. That was kind of a new thing. but that doesn't mean global sicknesses have come before. Writing has come before. Like, maybe not to certain degrees, but like, there's nothing new under the sun or whatever. So, yeah. Get into a few personal things before wrapping up. I don't know what order I'll go in as far as like how hard they are to talk about, but
Career is probably an easier one to talk about. I don't know what the clue I'm doing.
I don't think that's a phrase. I think I was gonna say I don't know what the crap I'm doing, but then I combined it with I don't have a clue what I'm doing. So, new phrase. I don't know what the clue I'm doing. I am currently studying to be an English teacher, which just aligns with a lot of my values and stuff. But man, I don't know if I want to do that. Like, I want to leave an impact on people and stuff, but I don't know if that's the place to do it. I love telling stories. I love talking with people. I love getting perspective. But I also know, if you're gonna be a family man, you gotta have an income. Like, and so that's one I've been struggling with, and I pray that I can get that figured out. But yeah, that one's kind of weird. If I could, I think I'd love to just podcast. I really do think I could do that for a living. If that just meant I could just talk with people, and then I could still serve in other ways, but that would just be off of my own time. Like, I don't have to get paid to serve someone. Like, yeah. So that's career. Family has been good. Man, I have such a good family. Such a good family. My upbringing is, most people don't have a clue, like, how blessed I am. Like, I grew up in a strong Christian home and had so many teachers, so many pastors, siblings, parents, like everyone looking out for my good. And man, it's just been so cool. And I struggled with that a lot first semester, where I didn't, hang on. I didn't necessarily keep contact with a lot of my family, other than like Christina. So I've tried to be better about that this year and make an effort to actually reach out to my family, and so it's been good. I think I could still work on that a lot, but a way of showing that I care and stuff. Yeah, it's been good. Slowly crossing things off my list. Struggles. So first semester my freshman year, I took a class. It was like history of the Bible or whatever, and it was a very challenging class because the teacher was like a historian and also a pastor. And so I'd always had, like, I had all these like, oh, I'm going to go to college and like fight off the evil professors and stuff. And that wasn't what happened. It was a guy who cared about what he was talking about, and yet held a lot of views that were not like the same as my upbringing. Like, well, this probably didn't happen like this, but like there's still truth in it, like. And I was just like, what? This isn't what I knew growing up. And so that kind of rocked my faith a lot. And there's still some things that I think about. I'm like, I don't know if I have a great answer for that or whatever. But that was hard. And it's kind of around that time I started falling back into some old habits and stuff. So when I was 12, like many other boys at that age, they start struggling a lot more with lust and things like that nature. And so that was, something I struggled with for a long time. And I think it's more of a need to know basis. And so I don't think the general public needs to know about that. If you need to know, you can hear my story, because it's a cool story, but it's a sad story too. So I struggled with that till the end of my freshman year of high school. I went on a missions trip, and kind of was a turnaround for me. We went to Utah, where I saw a lot of problems with the Mormon church, and it was sad to realize that all these people had no hope, and they were striving, but there's just something not there. And to realize that I did have that hope, and that it wasn't just an empty hope, it was hope for a future and power to change through Christ. And so I did. I really turned my life around for several years. And then coming back to college, I came off of a rough summer of work, and then just more adjusting, and I don't know, started flirting with some stuff from my past again, and really started to struggle that semester, even into this year. I was pretty rotten in the summer during COVID. Just a filthy human being. And yeah, it was just like, man, what am I doing? What am I living for? And it really did. It took RFK to come back and be like, this is who you are. Like, you are a servant of Christ. Now mean it. Like, do it. Live out what it means to love the Lord, and to love and serve those around you. And so I still wrestled with some things. I took some more steps to get some better accountability. But it's been the past, it's been on the up and up for a while, but I think the past month, I've been very set in my ways of okay, let's do this. Probably a little bit longer than that. I don't know exactly, maybe a month and a half, but yeah, what a wild journey that's been. I'll tell you one thing, being stuck in a sin is the worst feeling in the world, because you hate it so much, and yet something is wrong, because if you really hated it so much, you would stop. And yet you keep coming back to the grave, and it's just like, what are you doing? And another thing that sucks about it is just when you're so focused on this one area of your life that needs to be improved, you're missing so many other areas in your life that are you're totally screwing this up over here, and you don't even realize it. Which I guess I could get into. Friendships. It's been a weird time in my life of there's definitely a thought where I've never felt Never felt like I've had so many friends and yet was close to no one. There's definitely a rough period where I was just like, man, I know so many people and like they're good people, they're kind people, but I feel alone. And it was hard. It was really hard. John and I have gone through a lot of stuff. We've been best friends since we were younger. Probably close to 15 years. We've gone through a lot of stuff. A lot of the younger years was mostly just having fun. There wasn't too much to it. Getting into high school, life got a little more real. Girls. That was good timing. Knocked something off my wall for dramatic effect. Yeah, girls can screw up friendships. We got through that. Yeah, and then just the past couple years, John has become more and more independent, which is great. I think he's doing his own thing, but like it's been hard. And I've started becoming more independent this. I think really this semester I've kind of started taking a little bit more of my own. This is like who I am kind of thing. But it's hard. I don't swear, but if I did, I'd say that I effed a lot of things up during the summer. This is in the height of dealing with my own sin, or rather, a lack of dealing with my own sin. Which pushed me away from people who are close to me because I didn't want to admit that I was struggling with things again. And it was during COVID and stuff, so it was an easy excuse to stay away from people. And he reached out so many times to do things, and I just let him go by. So then we got to the school year, and I kind of realized how awful I've been. And we made up. We were good to go. And yeah, we had a good semester. It was a lot of fun. But I found out, about halfway through that he was strongly considering transferring, which meant that we wouldn't be roommates anymore. The timetable for that wasn't quite set yet, but I was like, So this is where we go our ways. Maybe not to friendship, but definitely from the norm. And it already happened with Ben Jansen, where he went off to Lincoln, and we just, man, every time we meet up, we pick up right where we left off. Like, it's so good. He's such a great guy, but it still makes me sad. I'm just like, man, I haven't reached out to him like I should. Which, best time to reach out was yesterday. Second best is today. So we'll see where that relationship continues. But I knew there was a good chance John was leaving, and I didn't know how to feel about it, because like I felt like I was supposed to be sad, but we hadn't been necessarily doing as much. Like we weren't as close as we've been in times in the past. And even though, I tried to definitely reach out a lot of times and be like, hey, yeah, I can do this, but still a lot of times of not doing it also. So it's better than the summer, but still not perfect. So I kind of was just like accepting it, being like, yeah, he's gonna move on, and I'm excited for him because he's got a lot of, like, I want to see where his photography goes. I want to see him run his own business. I want to see him leaving an impact on people, and I've seen evidence of that, of him doing that. And like, I don't know where he's going with ministry. I'm sure he's going to get more involved with that. Like, it's just so cool to see someone living what they believe in and to do it so passionately. John has far more passion than I've seen pretty much anyone else display. But it was hard, and I was trying to sort it out in my head, and I really couldn't, because I was excited for him and I felt like I needed to be sad, but I couldn't shake the excitement either, so it was just odd. And then he came back to a couple finals. He left after Thanksgiving break to go back home, and we met up, did a couple things, but didn't really do that much. And then we finally had our conversation, which he's a better friend than I am, and is willing to actually sit down and have that conversation, not just let it go. Because I think at that point I just started accepting him. Like, I just let him go, like, get out of here kind of thing. Not necessarily angry, like that was maybe a little aggressive, but like I just kind of like, I guess this is it. And the reason he came back to me is because I said that we should go rock climbing, and apparently I completely forgot about it. Got busy doing other things, and she was upset about that, and rightfully so. And it just sucks knowing that of the times in our relationship where one of us had been up and the other was down, and vice versa, knowing that I was behaving on the tail end, in a selfish way, not a selfless friendship, where I was just like not as invested, not doing what I ought to have been doing. But man, that was when it hit, man. Like, I cried so hard. Cried really hard. As I didn't want him to go. He told me it was hard knowing that he didn't know how many more tomorrows there were going to be. But it was hard because there have been so many great todays. This is just a testament to the value of that friendship, like how much growth there's been. And yeah, it makes you think though, how many times I said let's do it tomorrow, when I could have said, let's do it today, you know? Ugh. A little bit of the rawness. But I'll tell you one thing. John has been critical of me realizing this is I'm so excited for that kid because, you know, it doesn't matter if from here on, you know, we keep close contact or just kind of check in. Maybe it turns into more of what it's been like with Ben. Like we get to decide that to an extent of like, this is how we want to pursue things in the future. But I know that no matter where he goes, like, I'm going to be excited to see him show up one day together in heaven. And I said, I was like, you know, whatever you do, you're going to tell me about it later, you know, that kind of thing. But I'm like, yeah. But also would probably be focused on, you know, God in heaven. So, yeah, I don't really know how that all works. But either way, it just made me excited. Like, because I know wherever he goes, that if he stays close to the Lord, he's going to do amazing things. And, you know, both of us have had our struggles, but I'm confident that God will get him where he needs to be. And so it's just cool to think about. Yeah. But both of us, I think, decided that it would be a better use of our time to invest in the people that are around us. To really make an effort to be like, hey, this is like, you have friends here. Like, I have friends in Kearney. But now it's like, don't just let them go. Like, do something meaningful with them, you know? Yeah. So I'm excited still. It's hard, but, you know, life is bittersweet. And that's just, like I said, that's just how it is right now. But yeah. I'm going to take a second to breathe real quick. Other things. I forgot about December. That's been kind of fun this year. Doing December, which is going to be the start of, you know, next year. I'm doing monthly challenges every month and a yearly challenge. And that's a big shout out to John for just encouraging me to challenge myself in personal growth. So, you know, good on you, bud. I have one more topic I know I want to talk about, but I think there's another one too. I'm going to talk about, I think I'm running out of time because I think we're going to my grandma's here soon, so I got to wrap things up. The longest episode better not be me talking to myself. That'd be stupid. Talk about relationships, and then I'll talk about church. I think that seems like a good order to finish with a focus on Christ. Oh yes, the wonderful world of Kurt and his hopeless romanticism. Pardon me while I become awkward for the next 10-15 minutes. So I started off the year cutting off contact with a girl that I've been talking a lot with the past several months. And it just reached a place where it was like, you know, like, hey, what are we? Like, if we're going to be friends, and let's be friends. But if, you know, like, we're talking way too much to just leave it how we're going, kind of. So decided to just be friends, and I knew that would be hard on myself. So I said, hey, let's just cut off talking. And I went too long. I really regret that. Um, she eventually was the first one to reach out to me a couple months later and be like, hey, I still, still think you're an awesome person. Like, you've been a great friend and stuff. And at that point, I realized, I'm like, yeah, I screwed this up. Like, I still think the not talking for a time was necessary, but it just went too long. And you might hear my family out there. Apologies. Yeah, that was hard. I I felt bad because I've tried to get into relationships in the past. Um, every time learning something new, like, hey, you actually have to, you know, tell a person that you like them and ask them out. Yeah, good job, younger Kurt, realizing that. But I've wanted to get married for a very long time. Um, I really started taking that seriously. Again, like other things, freshman year, end of freshman year, where I just think like marriage is the coolest thing ever. Um, two people together can do some pretty incredible things. Um, it's verse about talking, or the verse talking about, pity the man who has no one to pick him up when he falls. Two are better than one, which isn't directly connected to marriage, but I think it still applies. There's other passages, Psalms talking about children being a blessing, and arrows, like you can be a warrior, like with your children, like for God. Like it's kind of like a crazy concept to think about, but like it's like, wow, that's cool. Multiple passages and Ephesians, and I think it's Timothy. I want to say like First Timothy, First Peter. I think those are all right. Talking about what marriage should look like, and the love and the roles that a man and woman should have. And so yeah, just for a long time I've really wanted that. And probably too much. Probably not being content in singleness for a very long time. Which I think didn't hit until honestly just a couple months ago, where I'm like, it's gonna be okay whatever happens. Like, God will use me for his purposes. Like, to not just be like content in singleness, but to like thrive in singleness. Like, that's what I think a lot of people get tripped up. It's like, oh, I suppose I will learn to be content. But no, don't just be content. Like, love it. Like, love where God has you. And maybe for some people it is a real issue where I don't want to be single, but I am. And so that's where I suppose God has me. Like, I guess it's a tough thing, but just learning to be content and to thrive no matter where you are in life, because you know that God is good and he will use you for his purposes. Like, if you know those things, you can do anything. And it's so cool. So yeah, there's that relationship, which I think we've mended to an extent. I think it didn't mend perfectly. I think like there's no tension anymore, but I wish we'd salvaged a little more of the friendship where there was still some more interaction and stuff, but it's still good. And then later in the summer, I can hear people talking. Hopefully it's not too loud. Later in the summer, I start getting the feels for somebody else, and that was pretty strong infatuation, I'd say. Or was just like, that was all I could think about. Like, oh, does this person like me? I don't know. Like, should we be more than friends? I don't know. I hope someone else asks them out. Oh, it's all going down. Like, and wound up asking her out, and she said no, which I think was probably for the best. But I was just like, man, after that one hit, I was just like, what are you doing, dude? Like, you gotta figure this out, because that was just not, you were not in the greatest mental state during that whole ordeal. And it wasn't super long ordeal either, but like, I was just like, man, you gotta get in a better spot. And again, so like, because I didn't want it to get super awkward, I made an extra effort of trying to maintain friendship and stuff, which I think in the end I'm pretty good spot with. I think I might have even overcorrected on a couple things, but there were definitely some hard conversations. I remember there was one time I had a friend ask, like, we were just all in a group discussing things, and there was a friend that asked about, like, oh, like, how would you, like, handle a situation where you would, like, you're not interested in the person, but they asked you out or something like that. And the girl I'd asked out was also in the room talking about things, which, to be fair, was probably a harder question if she had asked her instead of me. But I was just like, whoa, like, internally just like, and like not trying to show it, but like kind of answering the question, but also kind of like talking to the girl and being like, hey, like, what you did I think was good and stuff. So my parents are being pretty loud right now. I love my mom, but also I think they're getting ready to go soon, so I have to wrap things up. So there's that, and then after that, just being like, okay, like, I just gotta, like, we're done with this. Like, this is not happening. And then somebody else came along, and what a journey that's been. So I started talking with this person a little over a month ago, and yeah, it was kind of weird because there's a girl that I'd, like, known for a while, like, known of, and then didn't actually start interacting with till recently. And I thought that based on how we talked and stuff, I'm like, this sounds like she's interested in me, which instantly made me think I need to figure out if I'm interested in her, because I hated that feeling of not knowing. So I just need to figure it out myself as quickly as possible, which meant that, we went on a couple dates that were, like, not dates, like, they weren't called that, but that's what they were. And yeah, kind of started to get to know this person, and then was like almost like running her, like, through interviews, like, type thing. Like, it was like, this is maybe a little too much on the serious side and not enough of the, like, hey, just get to know this person. Like, you don't have to, this isn't like a checklist type thing, which, Kurt being Kurt doesn't know what the clue he's doing half the time anyway. I said it again. What the clue? Wow, I'm gonna have to use that phrase now. Anyway, yeah. So basically, we decided, hey, you're an awesome person. We both agree that, but I don't really feel anything. Like, I don't think there's anything here. And so it was like, let's just be friends, which was hard, but kind of gave me some peace about things. And then after that, we basically, my my hopeless romantic side may or may not have popped out just a little bit, and we basically flirted for like the next hour, and then I was like, wait, what? like we were decided like, no, this isn't a thing. And then like, but what if it was a thing? And so next week was kind of weird of trying to like decide again, like, wait, I think I actually do like this person. And so yeah, I am no longer single. I've been dating someone for about a week now, which is kind of wild. It's kind of terrifying. After deciding the whole, like, okay, let's, we're doing this for real, like, boyfriend, girlfriend type thing. The next day, I instantly was panicking so much and being like, I'm not ready for this. Like, what was I thinking? And be like, how much of a jerk if I'm gonna be if I break up with her like the day after? Like, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And I even like talked with her a little bit about that, which was hard for her to hear. And then I was like trying to be honest, but all this roller coaster stuff. And then it finally took me talking with a few other people, talking with my sisters, with a couple of friends. Also, a bunch of people found out like right away, and that threw me off. And I was just like, well, what's going on? But it's like talking with them to like be like, hey, like it's okay. Like you don't need to freak out and stuff. And I think what I've basically come down to is like, I really like this person. Like she's so cool. She's the like one of the kindest, sweetest, gentlest girls I've ever met. And yet I know that I don't like love her because love comes with time and trust and commitment, and we don't really have very much of that. And normally, like, I never thought I'd date someone that like I've only known for like for like a month. But I think we're gonna be okay. And the biggest thing I've realized is that I don't know how the heck anyone could date someone without knowing God, because it is like the most stressful thing ever. And I was just like, whoa, like I'm not ready for this. Like, like internally just screaming and being like, what is going on? I also found out that there's not like a magic mist that gets lifted from there when you decide you're gonna date someone. I was hoping like a flock of doves or something, just like a signal of like, hey, you did it. Like I was like, well, just kind of looked around and I was like, okay, hello, like but the biggest thing I've realized is that if you are not close to God, it will give you so much anxiety. It will worry you so much. Your emotions will take you all over the place of like, I like this person. No, I don't like this person. Like, oh, I like them, but like, how much do I like them? Like you're just gonna be blown off so much. But I think realizing that God is sovereign over all things, and knowing that He will use you for His purposes, and whether that means with this person or with someone else, like dating is to find out whether or not you like would want to marry someone, kind of like that's how I view it. Is it's sort of a it's not it's not just casual. That's what I'm saying. Like maybe you can go on a few dates with someone and that'd be casual, but to actually be committed to something, you should be committed for a purpose. Um, and so trusting God with that purpose and being like, hey, no matter what happens, like it's okay. And yeah, having that just gives me so much more peace about everything. Because like, man, I even thought about like it's hard to love someone, to grow attached to someone, because you know that the more you do that, the harder it's going to be when it ends. Like, or like, which I mean, I shouldn't say when it ends, like, because it'll. Oh, okay, here's what I'm getting at. When it ends, because all relationships end eventually, whether that's going your separate ways or like death. Um, like there will be an end to my relationship with this person on Earth. Um, but knowing that no matter what happens, like it'll be okay. Um, yeah, it's just it gives me a lot more peace to think about it all. Um, but it is scary because you know, like, and I just went through this with John. Like, it's hard to love someone enough to like let them go. Um, it really is hard, and that doesn't mean it's the end of things or whatever. Like, who knows where? I have no clue where this will go from here, but it's taken a little bit, and we'll see what happens over the next couple months. But like, it's taken a little bit to move from just fear to excitement and wanting to be present and to have joy in that. And I was like, man, I don't know. I was convinced that she's a wizard because like I was like, we did a few things over Christmas break and stuff, and I was like, there was one day where it was like just us hanging out for a few hours, and we were both really tired, like because we had a long day at RFK and stuff, and it was after all the me freaking out and stuff. It was just like, man, this is the happiest day I've had in a very long time. It was so good. But and then to be like over Christmas break, like not present with each other. Like I was thinking about it yesterday during Christmas Eve as we were doing stuff. Like it made me sad. And I was like, man, I wish like she was here and like could like meet my family and be with us and stuff. And so it's been weird. And because it's been weird, I really don't know how to describe it. Like it's just a lot of roller coaster of emotions. But I think time was going to be the deciding factor for a lot of things. And so I'm excited. It's super fun. And I'm also like a total dork, I realize, because all those goofy things that I do, like just I say things weird, or I say things to be awkward or to make people laugh and stuff, and like wow, I can actually say that now. And be like, but then it's weird because I'm like, am I just saying this because I can say it, or do like I actually mean it? And like that's kind of where it draws the line. Like we're texting each other, like I'm like, oh, I miss you so much, babe. And I'm like, why would like, do I actually? Am I just being a dork, like saying that, or like? The thing is, like I'm not. And that's what kind of blows my mind a little bit. But it still feels really weird for me. And I'm guessing that's probably because I've only, known this person for not super long. And so I think it'll take time to actually, separate that difference of being goofy versus being serious and stuff. So I'm excited. I need to wrap up because we're getting ready to leave here soon. So, I do miss you, babe, by the way. Last one I want to talk about is church. I have found an awesome community at Calvary Kearney. Spencer, you're the best, man. I love you so much. Ryan, love you so much. It's very needed in my life to grow close to a smaller community. It's only about 50 people. What I grew up with was closer to a couple hundred. To really grow close to them and yeah, just there's so much good, rich teaching I've learned from them. Been reminded of things I knew growing up, but mostly the community. Because I remember growing up, like I went to church, but now it feels like I'm part of the church, which is, I mean, accurate. Like each of us as Christians, we are the church. Like we are called to be the bride of Christ and to love and to serve him. And like, it's such a cool thing. It's hard because I do miss people from my home church here in town in Central City. I miss my pastors. Like there's such good people I had growing up. But right now for this time in college, to have that small community, to go out and like love on people who get sick or they had surgery and be like, I get to like make this person like food and like go give it to them and go have a conversation with them. Like that's so cool. And like I want to do it. And that's what blows my mind because it's taken so much time for me to want to be a part of the church and not just be like, church is cool, like it's fun, like I'll go, like, but to actually be like excited to serve people. And I still wrestle with that, like I'm not perfect in it, but it's so good. Yeah, man, God has been so good to me. If I learned anything this year, it's that God has been so good to me, which I know is crazy to think about because it's been a rotten year in a lot of ways. But like, I think hard things make you grateful for good things. I really do. And so I just have so much gratitude in my life right now. And I know I'm far from a perfect person. I have so many flaws, but it's so cool to think about all my blessings, all my family, all my friends, all my teachers, pastors, fellow parishioners. Like, God is so good. So good. Yeah. I've got a lot of growth to do still, and I'm excited for life right now. I heard this somewhere. I think it was on a podcast, but it was just really good. I heard basically it was essentially is like we started the year like, oh, let's seeing 2020 and 2020, like let's have good vision this year, and then that kind of all went out the window. But now I got to think about it more and listen to these people, and like Christ is the only lens through which we can see 2020 with 2020 vision. Because otherwise this year sucked. It was garbage. But through Christ, like, even despite the hardships, life is good. Life is beautiful. And I love being here. I love this time on earth that I've been given. And I'm so grateful. Yeah. Like I said, I need to wrap up, so maybe I guess that's it. If you made it, somehow I managed to talk. This is maybe super narcissistic of me, but I managed to talk for almost 2.5 hours to myself. That's kind of wild. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. There's a lot of other things I didn't even talk about. I listened to a lot of Joe Rogan this year. That was kind of interesting.
Sprained my wrist in a bouncy house. I think I mentioned that. I don't know. There's all sorts of other things I could think of, but most of them probably aren't too important. So I think we'll just wrap up. So I love you all so much. I mean, if you made it this far, then you obviously care about me and my content to a very large extent, and so that means a lot to me. And I'm so excited to keep doing this. Which, who knows? Maybe my microphone will fall in a lake and I'll have to find something else to do. But if God lets it, then I'm so excited to do it. And so life is crazy. Life is weird. Life is very confusing. And life is very beautiful. And life is good. And it's only good through Christ. And there's joy. And there's only joy in Christ. So, this has been An Honest Letter 2020. See you all next year.